All right. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon and joining us here for this Internship Opportunities informational session brought to you by the Center for Geospatial Science and Technology. My name is Joel Osuna Williams. I'm a project manager at CGST, and we're really happy that you could join us and take time out of your busy schedules to be here with us today. What we're going to do today is take about 30 to 45 minutes or so and talk about the Center for Geospatial Science and Technology, CGST, who we are, the work that we do, and then talk a little bit about the internship opportunities that are offered by the center. As you probably all heard through our online postings and flyer, we're currently opening up a recruitment process as we have many spots that are opening up on a couple of different projects that we have at the center. And we hope to give you some details in case you are interested in taking advantage of those internship opportunities and potentially applying. All right, so to start off with, let's cover a little bit about our center. So our center provides professional services to partners and clients, and through those services, we provide learning and professional development opportunities to students and recent graduates. We're primarily a GIS shop. However, some of our work does go beyond traditional GIS, and I'll be providing several examples of the work that we do in just a few minutes. So some more detail and background about CGST. So we're a nonprofit consulting organization. We're located at CSUN. Physically, we're located on the second floor of the bookstore. CGST was founded in 2004, so coming up on almost 20 years now. And the work that we do at the center is primarily through projects in partnership with federal, state, local agencies, as well as private firms and other nonprofits. And we're pretty much self-funded. So what this means is that we establish relationships with other partners and agencies and offer them professional services. And through grants and contracts, they fund our work. And this is different than how a professor or researcher may operate, where they think of a research question or a research project, and then they solicit funding to support that work and then eventually carry out that research work. Instead, we form partnerships with real-world agencies and groups that may not necessarily have the capacity to carry out certain work. There's many cases where government agencies or private firms just don't have a GIS department, or many that do have a GIS department may only have maybe one person, one GIS analyst, and maybe that GIS person or that contact may not be really GIS savvy. Maybe it's an engineer doing some engineering work and a GIS work. So there's a lot of agencies, a lot of groups external to CSUN that are really interested in producing GIS work and having work carried out, but don't really have the necessary resources to do so. So that's where we really plug in. We provide our partners and clients with professional services, and they fund us to do the work through the different projects that we conceive with them. And I want to stress here, real world partners. And I'm going to bring up that term a couple times during this presentation, real world. Because really our real world partners, while some of them are in the CSU system, oftentimes are external to the CSU system. And again, we work with many other centers and institutes really taking advantage of the kind of the academic expertise within the CSU system with even other universities. But for the most part, we're working with partners that are out in the real world, outside of the CSU system. Working with federal agencies, state agencies, private firms, like I mentioned, other nonprofits. And we're producing these deliverables and products for them that are going to go out to them and be used by them in the real world. They're not going to necessarily sit on a metaphorical shelf, a digital shelf, and just collect dust. They're actually going to be used in their real world work and their research. And this is really where our interns and staff plug in, and this is where a really valuable opportunity for internships arise. And I'm going to circle back to this in terms of what you can potentially get out of the internship that we're offering in just a few minutes. So at CGST, we have a pretty robust staff structure. We have our director, Danielle Bram. We have 2 project managers. We have 3 full-time analysts / technicians. We have an admin assistant, and then we have a team made up of grad students, undergrads, and recent graduates. And like I mentioned before, we are having many spots open up on several of our projects, and we're looking to bring on more student interns and expand our team. So on this slide, I'm not going to go over every little thing on this slide. It's just meant to really provide you with an example of some of our clients and partners on the left side of the slide, and on the right side of the slide, some examples of the professional services that we offer. So you could see here in terms of partners and clients on the left side, we're currently working with federal agencies like US Geological Survey, and have worked with many others in the past like US Forest Service. We've worked with many state agencies in California. Currently, we're working with Department of Water Resources on a really large project. I'll talk about that in just a minute. We've worked with the California Water Board, with Caltrans. And then in addition to that, like I've mentioned before, we worked with other universities and other nonprofits as well. And then over on the right side, again, some examples of the types of services and work that we do. Again, I did mention we're primarily a GIS shop, and as such, we do a lot of work in project management, data development, database design and development, workflow development. We've done lots of work with some of our, especially our federal partners with modeling and programming and scripting, web mapping, producing different types of data products and products that use data, such as, again, web maps and story maps. And on some projects, we also take a dive into spatial analysis. We've done a couple, for example, a couple projects dealing with machine learning with some of our federal partners, and so on and so forth. So you have a lot of examples there up on the slide. And even though we do a lot of GIS-centric work, we also have some ancillary related work, such as design work, data collection, field work, things like that as well. So a lot of GIS heavy work, but also some ancillary work as well. In terms of the current work that we have going on at the center currently, our biggest project right now is our NHD project, our National Hydrography Dataset Update project for California. And this is a project in which we're working very closely with the California Department of Water Resources and USGS. USGS is essentially the owner of the National Hydrography Dataset, again, also known as the NHD. This is a nationwide public data set that contains surface water information. And what we're doing and have been doing for many years now is bringing comprehensive updates to this data. As I'm sure many of you know, water and water resources is a critically important topic, especially in the southwestern US and even more so in California, with issues such as the drought and climate change, accessibility to water, water quality, and knowing where the water is and the state of the water is really important. So over the last 10 or so years, our center has been really involved in working on several projects in maintaining this essential data set. This data set that is very authoritative in many respects to several agencies at the federal level, the state level, and the regional level. So it's a very high profile data set, a very important effort. And more recently, this project has expanded, and we have new work coming down the pipeline where we're going to be updating the hydrography, the NHD, within the national forests in California. This is the first time it's being done in probably decades, especially in a comprehensive manner. So we're going to be the first group other than US Forest Service to update the hydrography in these areas in the state, which is very, very important, very exciting work. In addition to that, we're updating coastal features using spatial reference data and new rule sets, brand new rule sets that have never been implemented before. We're conducting a high resolution hydrography pilot project in LA County where we're taking high resolution LiDAR and high resolution elevation data and developing scripts to derive hydrography from those input data sets. So really cutting edge work that's really going to open up the doors to a lot more opportunities at CGST. And of course, offer our students a lot of opportunities to learn and gain real world applied work experience. We also have a disadvantaged communities project, and this ties into water resources and water service providers, where we're looking to model disadvantaged communities and tackle questions about what those issues or what issues are present in those communities and what can be done to address those issues in a very data-driven manner. So there's a lot of social aspects to that project, but at the same time, a lot of data-heavy work being done on there as well. We have a project in collaboration with the City of San Fernando where we're helping to develop their GIS program. That's more of a local project. We have a couple projects with our partner, our federal partner, the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, where we're basically doing some work to support their renewable energy research and work. Things like wind farm, offshore wind farm, site suitability placement, seafloor mapping, and then also doing some geophysical and geological data set work, where we're taking all these old data sets and rolling them into a brand new database that we've designed, and we're helping them analyze that data and visualize that data. It's really exciting work and something that we've been working with them on for several years now. It's an ongoing collaboration. We also have a collab set up with the University Autonomous of Mexico in Mexico City, where we're working to build an international geoportal. It's an open source geoportal that offers data, seamless data, north of the US-Mexico border and south of the US-Mexico border. So it's seamless. And it really offers data that doesn't stop at a political boundary. And not only that, offers the data in a bilingual manner, and again, in a fully open source platform. So again, really exciting opportunities and a lot that we have going on at the center. So a little bit less about the center and the work that we do, and more about the internship and the opportunities that we're offering through the internship. So through the internship, you'll be able to gain, there's that term again, real world work experience, by helping to develop, again, products that are going to be used by real world agencies, government agencies, private firms, and other organizations. Because we have real world clients, you'll be helping to develop those products. And in doing so, you're able to really gain real world applied work experience. So at CGST, you're working in an applied professional setting. It's very different from an academic or classroom setting in that, you gain certain types of experience by working in an academic setting, in a classroom setting, in a lab setting. But working in an applied professional work setting, especially within the realm of GIS, is very different, okay? And you really learn how GIS is being applied in the real world, what data sets are being produced, what products are being produced for these real world agencies. In addition to that, I also did want to mention, I usually tell a lot of the interns that are coming into the center or are really interested in the internship is, a lot of students, undergrad students that are completing their master's work, have this impression that, they're going to take all these awesome GIS classes. They're going to have a diverse set of courses that they'll complete. They'll have really good grades. And they're under the impression that after they complete, their degree and they get their degree, they're going to go out into the real world and get a GIS job, and they say, I'm going to have awesome grades, a huge diverse set of classes that I've completed, and I'll get a job after that. And while having solid academic experience really helps, and having a good GPA and really good grades helps, it definitely helps, there's this impression that automatically translates into getting a job in an easy way, or having an easy pathway to getting a job. And unfortunately, in the GIS realm, getting a job can be very competitive in nature. If any of you have looked at entry-level GIS positions, it's not really that uncommon for an employer to say, hey, I require a potential candidate for this position to not only have a GIS degree or geography degree or related degree, but I am also asking for a year's worth of experience, or 3 years worth of experience, or 5 years worth of experience. And not just, again, academic experience, but applied real world work experience. And oftentimes students go out and they look for these entry-level positions, and they're surprised that, they're saying, oh, I need a year's worth of experience. I need 2 years worth of experience. And I have none. I only have my degree, right? So this is where CGST and the internship that we offer comes into place. or into play, we really offer the opportunity for you to gain that applied work experience as you're completing your undergraduate work, as you're completing your master's work, so that you can gain that and add that onto your resume. You can tell an employer, hey, as I was completing my degree, I also worked at CGST, and more specifically, I worked on this project that helped develop these deliverables that went out to this real world government agency or this private firm. And that holds a lot of weight when you're applying to a job, especially in the technical field and in a field such as GIS. And again, regardless if you're going to make GIS a part of your career, a small part of your career or a large part of your career. So it's something to keep in mind, something that's really important. So in terms of the internship that we offer here, I like to describe what you can take away from the internship as a coin. You know, there's two sides of what you can take away here. And one side of the coin is developing and gaining real world technical experience. These are your hard skills. So again, we're working on GIS projects primarily. So you'll be gaining experience on how data is developed for these agencies. You'll be using GIS data editing rules and custom tools. We'd be training you on things like aerial imagery interpretation that goes beyond what you learn in the classroom, how to interpret topographic maps in a more applied manner, you know, to develop data sets or to develop a database design. And then also we train you and give you specialty experience depending on what project you're on. That could involve hydro interpretation, web mapping, programming, raster analysis, other types of analysis, so on and so forth. And so on the other side of that coin is you being able to walk away, developing your professional experience. These are your soft skills. And these are things that are not necessarily taught in a classroom setting. Okay, they're not necessarily taught in school. These are things that you learn through experience in a professional setting. So we're talking about things like developing your communication skills, working in a team environment, working with team members, reporting back to a supervisor, following directions provided by a supervisor or a workflow. And then even simple things like setting up and following a schedule and time tracking, time management, things like that that seem very simple, but a lot of people don't really have a whole lot of experience because they just haven't had an opportunity to work in a professional setting and gain that type of experience. So a little bit more about the internship. So the internship itself is volunteer for the first month. And if you are interested, you can use the internship that we're offering for course credit. If you are a geography major or a GIS major, you can enroll in the Geography 494 class. I think that was unfortunately canceled this semester due to low enrollment, but I'm pretty sure the department offers it on a regular basis. And that class essentially has you sign up and participate in an internship. And usually, depending on the professor, they'll cover things like resume building and interview skills, things like that. But primarily speaking, it'll have you enroll in an internship and report back on your experience through that internship. And you're able to get course credit through that class. As you see here on the slide, urban planning has an equivalent of that class. And in years past, both geography, GIS, and urban planning students have been able to use the internship that we offer at CGST to satisfy that course requirement for the internship. So if you are interested in that, I really recommend you talk to your advisor or talk to someone in your department that may be teaching the class so you can learn more. But just know we have had many students come through the center that have used our internship for that course credit. So going back to the volunteer status, I did mention it's volunteer internship for the first month. It also may be shorter than a first month. It really depends on a couple different factors. This volunteer period, we treat as a probationary period, and it really allows us to bring you on to the center. There's an onboarding process and place you onto a specific project. And then it allows us to initiate your training. Again, we provide you with all the project-specific training. So there is a period in time where you have to go through the project-specific training. And then towards the end of that period, we give you a performance evaluation. And our ability to move you into a paid position depends primarily on your performance. So if you're working, let's say you're meeting our minimum hour requirements, which I'll talk about in just a minute or so, and you're progressing really well, your performance is really solid, That allows us to give you some feedback and move you into a paid position. So again, it's primarily based on your performance and whether you align well with our project. Again, we have a couple different projects, and we'd like to take this opportunity to learn more about you, learn about your strengths, and best place you on a project where you will benefit the most from. All right, so another kind of burning issue here is the pandemic and how we're treating the current situation with the pandemic. So just to be clear, we are following all guidelines and policies set by campus and the college. So we are kind of following in their footsteps, following every policy and guideline that they have set up. Currently, all our staff are working remotely, and we understand that on the 14th of February, so that's next Monday, classes will be going back to in-person instruction. So we're kind of following that pattern. However, we're going to be going back into in-person work, back into our office the week after that Monday. So that would be February 21st. So we are going to be going back primarily to an in-person, in-office work setting. When needed, virtual trainings and meetings are offered. During the last almost 2 years or so, we have been working primarily in a virtual environment. So we've been using MS Teams, setting up check-ins and meetings and trainings using MS Teams to facilitate the communication. Again, as needed, if we are working remotely, permissions are granted so that our staff are able to remote into one of our work computers on campus, access our file server, so on and so forth. We basically set you up if you were to be working remotely. However, again, like I said, we're going to be transitioning to more of an in-person, in-office work setting. You are expected to follow a set schedule. So if you are selected, we will ask for your availability and we will set up a schedule. And regardless if we're working virtually or remotely, virtually or in person, you are expected to follow a set schedule during our regular hours of operation, which I will, by the way, mention, I think, on the next slide. So that's incoming. And then, of course, we will continue to assess the situation as it changes. Things with the pandemic are changing frequently. They're changing all the time. So again, as the campus and the college's guidelines and policies change, we will adjust accordingly as well. All right, so CGST is open year round. This is a common question that we get. We commonly ask, are you in operation during summer? How about winter break? And yes, we are open and fully operational during summer and winter breaks. Our hours of operation, or normal hours of operation, are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So again, if you were selected and set up a schedule, these are the days and times that you'd be working within. And we only really close whenever there are official campus holidays, right? So again, we are fully operational and open during summer and winter breaks, since technically campus is not closed during those periods of time. And then, of course, we are fully operational during the spring and the fall semesters as well. We do have ongoing recruitment, and it really depends on project needs and space. So essentially what I tell staff is, let's say you don't necessarily qualify for the internship this round, for this recruitment period, but you are really interested, or let's say you're really busy and you're not able to commit to the internship for this period. We will be very likely recruiting once again at the beginning of the summer, and then once again at the beginning of fall. So again, if you don't necessarily qualify, or if you're like super busy right now, but you are interested, we will be recruiting very likely once again towards the end of the spring semester, right around the beginning of summer, and then again at the beginning of the fall semester. We have kind of this revolving door where we bring in new interns. In terms of qualifications, we have a couple here that we wanted to mention. So current students, and in particular current CSUN students, are prioritized. I did mention earlier, we do bring on undergrads, grads, and recent graduates, which are technically non-students. However, if we have situations where we have only a certain amount of spots available and we have way more candidates that are applying to the internship, we do prioritize current students, just because it does fall back on our center's mission in providing students opportunities. Aside from that, one of the bigger requirements here, probably the more important requirement, is bullet point 2 here up on the slide. This is making sure that you've completed your Geography 206 class and lab. This is the introductory GIS class. Now, if you have taken the equivalent class, an introductory GIS class, at a community college or at a different university, that is totally fine. It just has to be the equivalent. And the reasoning for this is because we don't want to use the internship and essentially have it mimic what the 206 class would do for you. We don't want to necessarily teach you the basics of GIS. We want to have you grow from what you've learned in the introductory GIS class, right? We want to throw more on top of what you've learned, have your skill sets grow from there, and have you gain more knowledge and experience based off what you've already learned in that introductory class. So that's the biggest requirement there, I would say. Another pretty important requirement is here on the third bullet point, is the time requirement. So we are asking that you will be able to commit 16 hours per week. However, this is a softer requirement. So if you're not able to commit 16 hours a week, please let us know what you can do, and we will try to work with you. We'll try to meet with you somewhere in the middle. So just know this is a softer requirement. However, it's kind of like our ideal minimum amount of hours per week that we would like to have our interns work. However, there is, again, flexibility there. And in terms of how you would organize your shifts, if you were selected and brought onto the internship, you would organize your shifts so that you would be working 4-hour shifts minimum, so 4 to 8-hour shifts. And the reason for this is, as many of you probably know, if you know, working with GIS, with GIS data, it takes a while to get up to speed and gain momentum in a workday, right? So if you have the availability to only work an hour shift, an hour and a half, 2 hours, it takes time, to open up an ArcMap doc or an ArcPro project and really get rolling and gain momentum and really become productive. So it wouldn't be really fair for you to work, for us to really allow you to work just 1 hour. You wouldn't really be productive and gaining the experience and getting through, especially like the training phase, as fast as your other peers that could do the 4-hour shift. So we are asking that you organize your shifts into at minimum 4-hour segments. Again, you can go all the way up to 8-hour segments and anything in between there. But this is kind of what we've determined in the past really works well, again, to maximize productivity and to really get you through the training material and get you onto production work on the project that you're eventually placed on. So if you are selected, again, we would be asking for your availability, and we would be providing you with a weekly schedule that you would then be expected to follow. We would, again, provide you with all the project-specific training. So for example, if we place you on our hydrography project, you don't have to come in with a solid background in hydrography. We will be providing you with the essential training for whatever project we place you on. And then you start working in a supervised team environment. Many times other internships have a setup where you're given a project and you just work by yourself, and that's really unfortunate. And that's not how we're set up at CGST. We're really set up to have you work in a team environment. You will have either a tech lead, or you will have an analyst that you report back to, and that analyst will be in regular contact with you. You will be getting feedback as your work progresses. We will have regular check-in meetings. And you will, of course, have other team members that are doing very similar work as you. Maybe we break up a part of the state of California, and editor 1 works in one area, editor 2 works in a different area, but the two of you are following the same workflow or undergoing the same training. And again, you are in a team environment when you work at CGST. So for next steps, if you are interested in applying, please, I encourage you to take a screenshot of this slide and save that. It has some important information, some important dates are up here. So if you are interested in applying, please go ahead and email us. Our email address is up on the slide. That's cgst@csun.edu. we'd like you to email us with a couple different things. So number one, please include your resume, your up-to-date resume. And it is totally fine if you have limited or no prior work experience. We ask that you include a resume just so that we can get a better understanding as to what experience you may have. So even if it's a not really relevant experience or no GIS experience, that's fine. It just really helps us to know what your background may look like. The other item that we're asking that you attach to the email to us is your unofficial transcript or your unofficial transcripts. So we're asking for this, number one, so that we can verify that you have completed, again, that 206 class or the equivalent if you took it at a community college or at a university other than CSUN. And then we also take a look at your transcripts to see what other classes you have completed. It really helps us to, again, get to know you a little bit better, get to know what your academic background may be looking like. And it helps us better place you on a project, right? So we're interested in knowing what other GIS classes you've taken, what related classes you've taken, if you've taken a programming class, a web mapping class, project management. All of those are relevant classes that really help us to know more about you. So go ahead and PDF your unofficial transcript or transcripts and include them as an attachment or attachments in the email to us. And then in the email to us, also let us know if you are currently in the internship class and that you're looking to use the CGST internship for course credit. We'd be interested in knowing that as well. And again, doesn't matter if it's out of the geography department or a different department. We're just interested in knowing if you're currently interested in using our class or our internship for that course credit. So again, it'll be an email with your resume, your unofficial transcripts, and just a note letting us know if you're in an internship class currently. And we're asking that you send that on over to us by next Tuesday, the 15th. Okay. And what will happen is we'll be getting everybody's documentation. We'll be reviewing all the paperwork of the different applicants, and selections will be made by the following Friday, which would be Friday the 18th. Okay, so you can expect to hear back from us then. And if you are selected, like I mentioned previously, we will let you know, and we will start to coordinate with you if you are interested in getting into the internship and starting to work for us. And again, we'll provide more details then, ask for your availability, have you fill out the paperwork and go through the standard onboarding process. And so given this timeline, what this means is ideally we'd like to have our new interns start the week of the 21st. So again, we would be coordinating with you, setting up your schedule. And as we get through the onboarding process for those that are selected, we would coordinate with you and ideally get you started the week of February 21st. So it's, again, a really quick turnaround time, but that's just because we do have a lot of spots on our projects that are opening up, and we really need to get rolling on some of this new exciting work that we have going on.